It's Platt, and today I try one more Hazy IPA. That's next to Platt's Beer of the Week. So today is the final beer in the Hop Valley Hazy Day Patio Pack. I got a variety pack. We went through all four of the different beers. This is the last one. This one is called Palisaderade. A little background to Hop Valley for those of you that haven't got it down already. Hop Valley was founded in Eugene, Oregon in 2009. One time they produced the classic American brand Henry Weinhardt. For those of you that don't know, Henry Weinhardt opened the first West Coast brewery all the way back in 1856 in Portland. Now, if you go to the Hop Valley website, you're not going to find a lot of stuff, pretty much just kind of a generic marketing piece. You don't see anything about the founders, the first brewer, stuff like that. And that is because Hop Valley now is part of Big Beer. They were purchased by Molson Coors in 2016. Now, Molson Coors, their story goes back to 2005 when the two companies merged. At the time, it was one of the biggest deals in the history of the beverage industry. Today, we just seem to have more and more of those deals kind of coming down the line. Molson's history dates all the way back to 1786, right after our country was founded here in the U.S. John Molson's opened the brewery in Montreal. It's one of the oldest breweries in North America, and don't quote me on this, but it might be the oldest continuous brewery in Canada, but definitely one of the oldest overall in North America. Coors, move ahead about 90 years, and Adolf Coors opened Coors Brewing in 1873. Now today there are two separate corporate headquarters. There's one in Golden, Colorado, the old Coors headquarters, and then the Molson Coors kind of international headquarters in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Now there's another giant brewery part of the company. In 2016, probably about the same time as they're picking up Hop Valley and Henry Weinhardt and those assets, they purchased Miller Brewing. Now, because of all the various different laws, monopoly laws, all the different markets they're in, U.S., Canada, the EU, just 100+ countries, they have to kind of move things around. Here in the U.S., the company is considered Miller Coors. Internationally, it's Molson Coors. Some places they just distribute the Miller product. Some places they produce it but don't distribute it. Again, sometimes these things fall under Miller Coors, sometimes they fall under Molson Coors. But after the purchase of Miller, they became the third largest brewing company in the world behind AB InBev. And I think it's Grupo Modelo, or it could be Heineken that's next, but they're right up there with the big boys. Real quick, let's talk about some of their other beers. Again, this is a very IPA heavy company. Pacific Northwest kind of makes sense. First, Alphadelic IPA, 7.2% ABV. What really stuck out to me was the way they were describing this beer, and they talked about using Southern Hemisphere hops. Now, I believe they're either New Zealand or Australia. I know New Zealand hops have really caught on, especially with West Coast brewers. The idea that they're using the term Southern Hemisphere hops, that's half the planet. Are there Bolivian hops? Do we have Botswanan hops? Just the term, I found that kind of interesting. Next is Westco IPA, 7.7% ABV. It's the classic West Coast style IPA, which again fits with their portfolio. If you see the can, though, it is kind of a cool looking can. Kind of got an old school 80s vibe, kind of like gaming graphics meets Miami Vice. But at my age, you always kind of like it when they kick it old school. And lastly, Macho Libre, 8.7% ABV, 80 IBUs. This is a big beer. But on the tasting notes, they talk about a peachy mango flavor. I never thought I'd put those two together like that, but peachy mango flavor. Now, again, this is an IPA heavy list. They do a pale ale. I've talked about they've done a lager, a Hefeweizen, but there's no dark beers, no stouts, no porters. They don't get in the German or Belgian style beers. They are, apparently fit the notch in the craft beer arm of Molson Coors of, hey, we need IPAs, and they're providing the IPAs. Well, before we talk about this particular beer and try this particular beer, let's check out the stats. Okay, so today before we try this particular beer, I thought it time for questions for Platt. If you have a question that you'd like me to answer in a video, feel free to send it to plattsboozblog@gmail.com. In the subject line, put questions for Platt. Today I'm going to do a little something different, just because I've gotten a lot of the same questions lately. But this video is going to air probably a week or 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. And this year it's out in Las Vegas. A ton of people are coming. So I thought it was perfect time. I always about once a year or something, kind of mention this. I want to talk about the comping policy for drinks in casinos. If you're coming out, kind of know the rules of the road. One of the things they do when you fly out is the airline stewardess or stewards on the plane, kind of give you the same selling points of Vegas. What happens in Vegas? One of the last things they tell you when you get off the plane is like, oh, they just hand out free drinks at the casino. Get your drink on. Not necessarily like that, especially these days. Now, 25 years ago or so when I first started coming to town, it was closer to that model, but not anymore. So if you're in a casino, you just don't get drinks handed to you. First off, you gotta be 21. You gotta be 21 to gamble or to even be in the casino or at a bar. Even if you're with your parents, you gotta be 21, so remember that. Also, too, you have to be actively playing. There is no rules that saying the casinos have to give you a drink. It's complimentary, it's just part of their business model. In Nevada, is unique to other states that they allow that kind of thing. So they're complimentary, it's the company's right to give you the drink or not. Now, like I said, if you're actively gambling, they generally give you a drink. They're a little softer on the casino floors. The cocktail girls, if you're at a table or a slot machine on the casino floors, the girls generally don't watch you actively play. If you go up to a bar, though, and this is someone who bartended on the strip for 15 years, the casinos pound that poor bartender to also kind of watch over your gaming. Generally, it's a $20 bill in, and if you're playing quarters, play 5 quarters or max coin at a time. Now, I will give you this, too. If you look at the pay tables, you'll find generally the max bet pay table is the best of all or has the best EV. So if you're going to gamble, go ahead and gamble, play the max coin. And then you get a complimentary drink. Now, you don't get just anything. They're not going to hand you Louis the 13th. Most places, generally, you can get you a Jack and Coke, a gin and tonic, maybe a glass of house wine. Pretty much any of the bottled beers. Most of them don't, don't carry Chimay behind the bar or higher dollar beer. So generally, you can get you whatever beer, especially if they have draft beers. Kind of a standard well drink, but you might get Absolute or Jack or something, and then a house wine. So, and also last but not least, take care of your bartenders and waiters if you want the next drink. You might get the first one, but if you're not taking care of them, you're probably getting another one. So anyway, just want to give that disclaimer before anybody comes out to Vegas. All right, let's drink one more Hazy IPA. Got about finger width of really light, I'm not even going to say khaki, just light head. Of course, we got a Hazy IPA, plenty of bubbles. All right, the hops are subtle on the nose. I'm getting some of the malt sweetness and a little bit of like fruitiness. Let's go in for the taste. Oh yeah, that is a little light fruit. I think in the tasting notes they talk about pineapples and peaches and I get the juicy fruit. Supposedly this is derived from the hops, and it doesn't taste like it's artificially added. Some breweries will add syrups or extracts to get kind of a fruit flavor. It's not that, but you do get a nice little bit of fruitiness. Nice little body to it. I'm gonna say medium, medium minus body to it. Still very drinkable. 21 IPUs. The hops aren't really there. Yeah, it really didn't pick up on the nose. Kind of comes a little bit on the back of the palate. But this is an approachable IPA for sure. You know what? This might be an IPA that if no one's ever tried an IPA, I might steer them toward this because the hops didn't knock you over. It's not too big. 6.1% ABV. We're out of the session range, but it's not a beer that's necessarily going to knock anybody over. Just a nice, light, slightly fruity, hazy IPA. Not too bad. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or beers that you'd like me to try, please leave them in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Well, until next time, bottoms up.